My name is Eva Felsenburg Marx, and I wrote my memoir called One of the Lucky Ones. Brno, where I was born, just before the war broke out in 1937, had a huge Sudeten-Deutsch population. Many Germans lived in Brno, and with the advent of Hitler, they got swept up in this climate of intolerance, anti-Semitism, and Deutschland über alles feeling. I boarded the train for Vrable, Slovakia, with our dear Marka, who was our maid, but she was really a family member. She took me to my grandparents. I spent 5 years with them, separated from my parents. They were on the move, separately and together, staying with friends, relatives, even acquaintances during this period. And I was very happy in my home in Vrable. I really don't remember missing them. My mother always credited my father with saving our life. He had an instinct of self-preservation that definitely played a key role. And he was the one also that found a hiding place at the nick of time, and that's how we survived. I was very nervous when I was sent away to meet my father, because I had no recollection of him at this point. I hadn't seen him in 5 years. And I was so afraid and nervous about meeting my mother, because I didn't really remember very much about her, and I was wondering, what would I say to her? What would she be like? And I remember that feeling of nervousness and fear. We had these very close calls before being liberated. We were hidden by this woman, Aranka Zapletal, who did risk her life, even though she did it for money. There was the lady who lived below us, who told the German soldiers that there was no one upstairs. She really took a chance, because if they did go upstairs and would find us, then that would be the end of her. As we tried to escape the bombardments, we're also saved by monks, wonderful, wonderful religious men who saved us knowing that we were Jewish. They gave us sanctuary. When the Germans came inspecting their rooms and found us, they simply said we were ausgebombt, bombed out. Due to these righteous people, our life was spared. When we were liberated by the Russian soldiers, we went back to Vrable, and we were hoping to be reunited with my mother's parents and her sister and my little niece and her father. We stayed in Vrable for quite a long time, hoping against hope that my grandparents would return, but not one Jewish person returned to Vrable. So it seemed that the whole community had been wiped out. They had been sent to Auschwitz. That was tragic for my mother. She was so close to her parents and to her only sister. She never really got over it. When we came to Canada, my parents were so busy just trying to earn a living and get on with life, and they really didn't talk about their wartime experiences. I think I wanted to blend in with my new schoolmates, my new life, and they wanted to just survive in Canada and make a livelihood. My mother always put her family first and foremost. She put me above everything, which I so appreciated, of course. And she always said, I only had one daughter, but the best. How can you not adore a mother like that? My mom always used to say, we were the lucky ones. That was what she always said. We were the lucky ones, because it was really just pure luck. Many people were very clever. They did all the right things. They tried to hide, to escape, to blend in, whatever, but they were caught. It was really my son who was very interested in the Holocaust. He was fascinated by it. He couldn't understand it. He asked me to write it. I remember just, sitting and writing it, and it just flowed, and I enjoyed writing it all down. So it was perhaps therapeutic for me. I'm delighted that it will have a wider readership to remind people and to validate that the Holocaust happened. In October 1949, we left Czechoslovakia with nothing and set off for the Great White North. After a brief stopover in the bitterly cold Quebec City, we boarded the train for the 4-hour ride to Montreal. Looking out the window of our speeding coach, I saw the flat, frozen landscape
hurtling past and was filled with anticipation. After the war in Czechoslovakia, I had loved going to see Hollywood films and had visions of North America filled with glamorous, dreamlike images. National Velvet with Elizabeth Taylor, The Adventures of Robin Hood with Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland, and the hilarious films of Charlie Chaplin. My classmates back in Czechoslovakia all envied me because I was moving to the magical continent of figure skating champion Sonia Henny and the adorable Shirley Temple. I fully expected the streets of Montreal to resemble Hollywood movie sets. How disappointed I was upon our arrival. In the dead of winter, Montreal was freezing and inhospitable. We arrived exhausted and uncertain of our future. What kind of life lay ahead? How would we manage?
Life wasn't easy, especially for my parents. No longer young, they were forced to seek employment wherever it was available.
My father stood all day as he blocked and stretched fur pelts and skins on a large table. My mother worked as a finisher in a fur factory, sewing linings into fur coats. I worried about my parents. I waited for them on those dark winter nights when they were late coming home. I remember heating up their slippers by putting them under the radiators so that when they arrived, they would feel warmth and comfort.
In spite of the stress and strain that both my parents suffered, they loved Canada fiercely. "I always loved it here," was a refrain I heard my mother say over and over again. Knowing how hard life was for her, I would ask, "Why do you love Canada so much?" "Freedom, democracy, and independence," was her reply.